What is the self? Who are we at our core? And what role does the ego play in shaping our identity? These questions have puzzled thinkers for millennia, and today, we embark on a journey through the complex and fascinating world of the self and the ego. In the West, the self has long been considered the essence of a person, an enduring identity that encompasses our thoughts, consciousness, and experiences. René Descartes, the father of modern philosophy, famously declared, "Cogito, ergo sum." I think, therefore I am. For Descartes, self-awareness was the very foundation of existence. But is that all the self is? A collection of thoughts? Or is it something more? In the East, the concept of the self takes on a different form. Here, the self is often viewed as fluid, interconnected, and, ultimately, illusory. Buddhism teaches the doctrine of Anatta, no self, suggesting that what we call the self is nothing more than a temporary collection of ever-changing physical and mental components. The self, according to this view, is a mirage, a construct that binds us to suffering. And then, there's the ego. In Western psychology, the ego is central to understanding how we interact with the world. Sigmund Freud divided the mind into three parts: the id, the ego, and the superego. The ego acts as the mediator, navigating between our instinctual desires and our moral compass. But this ego is not the entirety of who we are. As Carl Jung would later argue, the ego is merely the center of our conscious mind, a fraction of the deeper, more mysterious whole he called the self. In many spiritual traditions, the ego is seen as the primary barrier to enlightenment. In Hinduism and Buddhism, the ego represents a false sense of separateness, a mistaken identity that must be transcended. The true self, these traditions teach, is not confined to the body, mind, or personality. It is infinite, boundless, and one with all of existence. To realize this self, we must dissolve the ego, letting go of the illusion of individuality. But is the ego always an enemy? Modern psychology suggests that a healthy ego is essential for personal growth. It helps us set boundaries, navigate social realities, and maintain a stable sense of identity. However, an overinflated ego can lead to arrogance and narcissism, while a weak ego might result in low self-esteem. So, the question becomes, how do we balance the ego with a deeper understanding of the self? Neuroscience adds yet another layer to this mystery. Some scientists argue that our sense of self and ego arises from the intricate workings of the brain. But this raises profound questions. Is the self merely a product of neural activity? Or does it point to something more fundamental, a connection to a reality beyond what we can see and measure? For those who seek to explore the depths of consciousness, the concept of ego death is both daunting and liberating. In moments of deep meditation, mystical experience, or even through the use of psychedelics, the boundaries of the self can dissolve, leading to a profound sense of unity with the universe. But is this the ultimate truth? Or simply another state of mind? The nature of self and ego is a puzzle with no simple solution, a mystery that spans cultures, disciplines, and eras. In our exploration, we find that the self is both real and illusory, that the ego is both essential and an obstacle. The journey to understanding who we are requires us to confront these paradoxes and, perhaps, to transcend them. So, who are you? Are you your thoughts, your body, your experiences? Or are you something deeper, something beyond the confines of the ego? The answer, as always, lies within. Remember, the self is a journey, not a destination. And the ego is just a companion along the way.